Hi, Raphael. Is Rebekah from Teshuvah Ministries, and I just saw your post, and my heart goes out to you so much. I scrolled down through everyone else's comments, and again, what I've known and what I've seen before is it confirmed that you're not alone. I'm not alone, and that so many people who are following Yahweh Elohim and turning away from the pagan ways are experiencing the same thing, experiencing that loss. And there's gain there, but there's also loss, and it's super hard on the heart. So I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there because I don't want you to lose heart, and I don't want you to distrust Yah's heart. I don't know if you know, but we lost our home in the dive of 2008, and at that time we had been in a little house for 13 years. It was a little urban farm. I had gardens. I had a garden. I had raspberries. I had chickens. I had bunnies, and I had a nice kitchen, and everyone had a bedroom, and we were known in the community. I was active in different things in the community. I was always a believer, as in I believed in Jesus and all that stuff, but started to come out, and we lived in that house I think 2 or 3 years after we started celebrating the feast and starting to learn about the pagan stuff, and started putting that away. But we had a business. We were wedding photographers, and we weren't making a ton of money, but we were definitely doing okay, and we had hope and all that jazz. We had community, we had fellowship, we had friends over every Shabbat. Lots of people over every Shabbat. And then the dive happened in 2008, and we ended up losing the business and the home. And at that point, I had been up to that point, I've been an entrepreneur, and so I had my own businesses and stuff, and I could always troubleshoot stuff and figure out how to get cash flow to happen. But at that point, I decided that I was going to stop troubleshooting him, because some things had happened in the course of the loss that made me believe that he was behind it. Not only was he using the dive, he was using the crash to do something in our life that he wanted done. And it was interesting. I'm telling you this story because I think you're going to find some hope in it. We were celebrating the feast and stuff, and learning and coming out for a couple of years while we were in this cute little home that we were remodeling and fixing up, and it was home. But on Shavuot that year, we decided to come into covenant, as in be really proactive in saying I do. So we did a formal, official ceremony that Shavuot as a family that said, okay, we promise that we're going to keep your covenant. So we'd been dabbling in it basically, and then for a couple of years and kind of figuring it out. A couple of years, it might have been only 1 year, but we figured it out. What Shavuot was about covenant and coming into contract with Papa. So we said, okay, we're going to do this officially. We signed our name to a ketubah. We got, Hebrew wedding rings, and we just got real serious about it. And we said, okay, this is forever. And 2 weeks later, an electrical storm hit our new business that we had just opened a few months earlier, and it fried the brand new computers. And at that point, I was like, I pretty much knew it was his doing. So at that point, I had to decide I was going to stop troubleshooting him. I was going to let him take us where he wanted us to go, and I wasn't going to try to make it what I wanted it to be. And I was just done. I was just so tired of doing that my whole life. So we said I do to him. We promised everything, and then and we got mikvahd. So we mikvahd in the water, we got mikvahd by the rock, and almost instantly he sends us into the wilderness. And that's when ended up, it's a long story, but we basically ended up homeless and living in a teepee up in the mountains of North Idaho for 4 years. And the Idaho winters are nasty, and that's one of the things that I just hate winter. I hate cold, and he put me right into the snow belt of Idaho and made me suffer for 4 years. And every time I'd walk around the property during the winter trying to get the food for the family and all this jazz, I would just fall to my face, and I cried out to him saying, "We're children of misery. Do you see us?" And my heart would just be so torn, but then it always would come back with, "He sees us, he sees us, it's okay." But then before I go into how he released us from that, I just wanted to say that the thing that would make me feel better about everything was when Isaac and I would do studies at the teepee in the scriptures, and we were figuring out who we were as Ephraim, which is what you have posted, you're Raphael, Ephraimite, I think. And that's really cool because it's your identity. You're an Ephraimite. That's what we believe we are. And we got to understand that when we went to the teepee, because in the studies we would do, we would discover, we discovered who the 10 tribes were and what happened to them in the dispersion. So we knew who we were at the teepee. And Isaac was studying one day in Hosea, and in Hosea it talks about what Ephraim is going to look like. And he says that, I know it's in context of Sukkot now, but at the time it says that he would make you live in tents again. And I was completely undone when Isaac read that to me. He also said that we would call on him and he would not answer. He said things like, basically, you're going to pay for the sins of your forefathers for a season, and then I'll come back to you, and I'll return to you, and you'll return to me, and that sort of idea. So there was a lot there that helped me understand why we were in that situation. Another thing that helped me was realizing that it's true. Yahshua, who mikvahd at the beginning of his ministry, he mikvahd, and then he was instantly driven by the Ruach HaKodesh into the wilderness for his testing time. And that's basically when he got to retake the test from that Adam failed. And I find that stunning, and I felt like I was in very good company in the sense that I understood now the wilderness time. That the teepee was our wilderness time, and it lasted for 4 years. And I would just tell my family, just 4 years, not 40. Please, let's just make it 4, not 40. I have to say that I think we got done there in 2014, and it's been 5 years. We're still not on our feet in the sense of how we were before. So we're still transient. We're still kind of nomads in a pagan land, and we feel like we're in exile still in dysphoria, and can't wait to go home to Israel someday and have home. My heart just really, really is craving and just longs for home, like a place to be known, stay, and have all the desires of my heart fulfilled and be prosperous and all that jazz. And I just, it's super difficult, but I really believe that he's sifting out those that want him and those that don't with the wilderness time. And it's a proving time, and it's important to go through. I can see the benefit of it. Even when I was in it, I saw it. It was super hard, but I saw the benefit of that discipline, and I felt like I knew who I was at that moment. I knew that because I was going through that, I was part of Israel, and for me that was wonderful news. So that could get me through a lot of really bad winter days. And then also the whole idea that that's what you long for, that this is a thing that you can't get rid of no matter how hard you try, or any of us try, who are experiencing this discipline or this wilderness time or this being set apart thing. Paradise was written on our hearts, and so we're going to long for that with every breath we breathe. And especially if we don't have it, if it's not accessible, or at least parts of it, like hints of it, when that's not accessible and we can't feel it, it just wells up in you, and just sometimes it feels like it's destroying me with the longing, like the longing is destroying me. But in the end, I always place it back in Papa's hands and say, you made me this way. You put this desire in me. You made me for paradise. This is your problem. I am yours. I'm obeying. This whole situation is your problem. And so then I can kind of let it go. So it's really a matter of trusting who he is, trusting his heart towards you, that it is good, and that he does see you, and that there's a reason for this, and that I think every single person who's being called out of Babylon, who is dead serious about this, is going to go through this wilderness time. So I've actually seen people who have been chosen to go through the wilderness time, but they troubleshoot him and they actually fall away. And the people who allow him to take them through the wilderness time, they come out shining. And frankly, they still, some of them are still in it, and they're still being tested, but there's this beautiful refining process. And I know you don't need to, don't need me to say that, because I know that you know that, but please be encouraged. His hand did release. I think it was 2014. I was in the garden up by the teepee, and I just threw my head up all of a sudden, and I just felt the ruach on me, and I feel like she said, go back to school. And then I started applying for, to go back to school to finish my degree. I mean, here I am in the middle of the mountains, surviving in a teepee, feeling like a native person, and I've got, kids and a husband. We're homesteading, and it's hard. It's super, super hard, and very hard on the body and the mental state, being so alone. Anyway, but I felt her say it's time, and I started applying, and I got in right away. It was a perfect program. Got money to go from donations, and he released us, and we got somebody to rent the teepee. Everything fell into place, and he said it's okay to go now. Before I actually had tried to get a job. I had a graphic design firm, so I tried to get some of those old clients back so I could just make a little bit, to survive, because we didn't have any income. So it was super hard. But he said no. He closed the door on that. No one, absolutely no one who were clients of mine before, super happy with me before, no one took me up on that. And different things I tried to do. I got to barter a lot with vegetables and that sort of thing. I bartered for milk and cheese and stuff like that. But other than that, he kept his hand over us and wouldn't let us move very much at all. It was trying, extremely trying. And then he finally allowed my husband to get a little job too, about 2 days a week, so we could pay for gas. And then he let us go to Boise. And from there, it's been quite a nomadic journey. So at this point, we're still waiting for some place to settle. But on one hand, I have to say, you know what, I would, I'm older in the sense of, I don't want to say that too loud, but I've been through a lot. And I know that in the end, paradise is coming, and comfort is not supposed to be here. The comfort can keep us, even if we're great people, good people, clean people, the comforts of this planet can make us so that we forget that we need him. I don't want to forget. So but I also am super exhausted. I was super exhausted and very, very trashed after the wilderness time. My hair went completely gray, pretty much, white, actually, because of the trauma. It's different now. It grew back. It's growing back brown now. But then, and that's one reason I know he's behind all this. And I lost my period. I went through menopause up at the teepee, just because life was just so hard. So, for him to say to us, look, I've had your forefathers, your ancestors said yes to me. They promised me, and then they bailed on me. So I gave them my heart, and they trashed it, and they trashed our covenant and our contract we had and our wedding agreement. And I want to know whether you're for real. I want to know if you're the real deal. So you're going into wilderness time, and so that you can prove to me that you're with me no matter what, and that you trust me. And you know my heart is good, and you're not going to, go backwards and be longing for Babylon again. The wilderness time, I think, is also about finding out who we trust. So I don't think it's just for Papa's sake, but I think it's also for our sake, so that we know and are super confident in the one who is worthy of our trust. And I think that the wilderness time teaches us, if we're willing to allow it to teach us, that he is the one that we're going to get provision for. So even though we may plant the garden, get the soil ready, plant the seeds and water it and tend it and that sort of stuff, it's not by our power that seed sprouts. It's by his power. And so even though we might work towards a goal, in the end, we just must remember that it is by his power, that he's the one that we need to trust, and not whatever we have built or whatever what we have stored up or what somebody else is handing us or that sort of thing. So that, I believe, is part of the wilderness time. And again, not only for him to know for sure that we're going to trust him no matter what, but also for us to know that we're going to trust him no matter what. Because when it all comes down to it, since we are the generation living at the end of the age, we are going to go through multiple hard times, I believe, multiple tribulations and stuff, as the birth pains and as labor happens. And so, when the earth opens up and swallows up people's wealth, who are they going to trust in? And we want to make sure that when the earth opens up and swallows everything that we have, that we know that we trust and that we can get through this because we trust in him. So it won't destroy us like it will the pagans or other people. So that, I think, is part of the benefit of the wilderness time. So the wilderness time can be very traumatizing to a person, and the word I got from Papa basically helped me know that he knows that, and that he recognizes that, and that's part of the process of the wilderness time. And the trauma, if it wasn't traumatizing, it wouldn't be wilderness time. And so when you have family ripped away from you, when you have church family ripped away from you, position ripped away, or job or home or gardens and, things that you love and stuff, is all kind of taken away from you, or you're lost, or you're surrendering it, however it ends up happening, it's still super traumatizing. So I believe that he's going to have a ton of counseling for us later to help us continue to fully heal from the trauma. So just know that, and take heart in the fact that it's not going unseen, that your losses, that your struggles, that things that are not, like they were, and the desires of your heart and your reality isn't in tune with each other, they're not symbiotic, however you say that he sees that and he knows that, and he's going to heal your heart a lot here, absolutely, but he's got a lot of plans, I believe, for future healing as well. I think that moment that Yahshua comes and our reality begins to change, at that point we're going to begin the process of healing, but it's not going to be instant, I don't think. I think there's going to be some things that we get to sit down, over a cup of coffee with Papa and talk through some things and understand what happened. And I think that's going to be super healing, to hear it from his point of view, and knowing that he, having him acknowledge what we went through, and having him smile at us, and with a gleam in his eye and a love that just is unmatched, and joy from that season of our life being over, and being able to enter into a paradise future with the world restored, and the right government here, and endless summer, and new bodies and everything. It's all going to be part of the healing process. So take heart, that's coming. Okay, I believe some of it can happen now, absolutely. Like Isaac and I were talking about this, thinking that right now, during my Jubilee year, I want to pursue freedom, financial freedom, because that's part of Jubilee, is financial freedom and going back to the land, getting your land back and stuff. Well, at the beginning of my 50th year, he brought to mind Jubilee idea, and I really felt him say, go, I'm going to bless you this year, and you'll be prosperous, and you can seek that. You can seek some income and all that stuff, and a place to call home on some level. But so far, I'm 5 months into my Jubilee year, and none of that has happened yet. I'm learning a lot and I'm growing, and I think the door is getting opened, but we're still nomadic. We're still struggling financially in huge ways. But my confidence in him hasn't dropped or failed at all. I know he's good, and I know he has good intentions towards us. So I think that there's some of that waiting for me here. And honestly, I think I was assuming too much. Like, as soon as I got done with the wilderness time, I wanted to like jump right into prosperous time. But I don't think it works that way. I think there's some things I still have to learn, and some ideas and thoughts and mindsets that have to be unlearned still in different areas of my life, not just spiritual, but other places, financial and different things. And so we're working on that right now, so that perhaps this is the launching off spot to something better, some freedom that awaits me prior to the King's return. But I can't read the future. I don't know when Yahshua is coming. I know that it'll be on some Yom Teruah someday, and I'm going to celebrate as if this next one is it. But I know there's certain things that have to go down before that joy can be fulfilled. But I want to encourage you, Raphael, that you will have the life you want. And right now it may not be exactly what you want right now, but it will happen, because the King is coming back, and he is going to restore paradise. He is going to give you what your heart desires, because he wrote it there. He wrote on your heart the need to feed your chickens in the morning. He wrote on your heart to sit on the porch and, rock with your furry friends on your lap, and with your cup of cocoa or coffee or whatever with a friend. And have friends on Shabbat, and to rejoice together. He wrote all that on your heart. And he wants you to have that right now. It's just testing time. It's a critical time, actually, because if he is coming super soon, he's got to put us through the fire fast and hard to see who's with him and who's not, who's for him, who's against him. And I have seen so many people get to the fire, get to the wilderness time, and turn around and long for Babylon, and turn around and leave him and leave that contract. That is the scary thing. You don't want to do that, because then you give up everything that is in front of you, right? And, we need to encourage each other on this, because this is a super trying time, because the wilderness is hard on your heart. I really want to sit down with Yahshua someday and find out how that 40 days went for him in the wilderness. What was that like? Probably was like faint with hunger. He's probably like just, so happy for that to be over and to have passed the test, and to have now relief. And it says that Hasatan, the adversary, left him alone for a season in there right after he passed those tests in the wilderness, and the angels came to be with him and administer to him. That is going to be that is going to be my experience, and I'm hoping that for other people who are in this, who have passed the test, that now there's a season of relief, that the adversary is gone from their life for a time, and relief in that they're going to be ministered to and receive, food and water and blessing and massages from the angels who are going to take Yeshua's comfort to us. So be comforted. Know that you're in great company. There are so many people who have been who are being set apart right now, who are going through this. Take heart. Don't give up. And remember that everything that you dream of right now, it is true. It is good. But let Papa have it. Give it to him. Let him put it in his pocket for safekeeping. And then wherever you are, try to make the best of it. So, I've lived since the teepee, we've lived in an RV for a while, and we were stranded in Arizona and California and stuff. It's been crazy, but we've done that. We've lived in a tent, an actual camping tent and campground. We've lived in a friend's trailer in their driveway. We've lived in a lake. He gave us this amazing respite. Couldn't believe it. Respite right after I graduated from school. So it was a go, move from the teepee to school and just hit the ground running. And then at the end of that, And we went into this tour, and the tour was super hard on our heart in the RV, and he gave us this amazing three-week free respite on a beautiful lake house from a friend on the lake up here in Idaho. And that was so amazing for us. It was like a little vacation that he provided for us. So, I could go on and the different things that we've been in for the last 5 years, but in every situation, I've figured out is where my special spot is to go to be with him, to get filled up, whether that is, a coffee shop, or whether that's on a rock high up in the, in the mountains, or if it's, down by the river, whatever it is, there's got to be a place that you can connect with him. That's super important. And then, in every single place, I've also gone out of my way to invite other people to come to fellowship with us. So I don't look necessarily for believers. In fact, sometimes I want to stay away from them because they can be very hard on our heart. And you don't really want to invite that. But go invite anyone who is living, breathing, and who has a smile on their face and who treats you well. And have them come over for Shabbat dinner or for the feast. You put the feast on wherever you are, and you invite others, and you'll be blessed. And with whatever means you have, you do it, and you're going to be blessed. You're going to feel the ruach, the presence of the ruach, and that's going to heal your heart no matter where you live. And then I also bring beauty to wherever it is I am. So I am with you 100% on everything you were describing is what I want to. And I saw many ladies in your feed that were saying they wanted the same thing, and they missed it, and they dream of it, and they can't wait to have it back, or they've lost it and they're so sad. And so I'm with you 100% on that. Wherever you are, one thing that I've learned at the teepee is you can bring beauty into wherever you are, at whatever poverty level or rich level you have, whatever finance level you have, you can bring the beauty to heal the heart. So, when we were at the teepee, it was just a matter of working hard to keep things clean and tidy, and lighting candles and doing what I could with, some pretty sheer drapes and stuff. And it made all the difference in the world. So I just encourage you to do those things that can help you with the situation you find yourself in. And as you wait for your wilderness time to be over, and you wait for Papa's hand to be released on you, and you wait for that blessing to come, whether it's in this life right now or whether it's in Paradise Restored. It's amazing that you posted that. I think there's so many people that needed to have that lid undone so that they could also identify, because a lot of times we're taught we're supposed to be okay in all situations, which, Jacob, I wrestled with him until he blessed him, right? I did that. I have done that. Give me your blessing and take away this insanity and this not knowing, this poverty, this nomadness. This is hard on a woman's heart. Don't worry. He is on the throne, and he is good, and he loves us very much. And I can't wait for the day that we get to sit at the golden table at the great wedding feast of the Lamb and pop the cork and have a good cry together and rejoice together. There's going to be so much to share, and we're going to find out that our stories are very, very similar, and that we weren't alone, actually, even though it feels that way, or that that the wilderness time didn't destroy us, even though it feels like it's going to. But breathe deep and know that he loves you and he sees you, and it will be over as soon as he is done doing what he does best. So just take heart, and I'm so glad you posted that. You have a wonderful day, and can't wait to hear how he has blessed you and opened up the floodgates of heaven to heal your heart and take you into the promised land. Bye.